Alright, welcome back to Tiger Isle Second City and Dimming Sage Block 9. Today we're going to talk about, we talked about school specialization, and we're going to move on into looking at a kind of a project manager's viewpoint of spells. Really not necessary sometimes. It's like, well, if you're a project manager or student of project manager or something like that, then I'm pretty sure you shouldn't follow tradition and saw what they saw. There is no second look at spells or specialization. Let's give this a try. And so from that, that's the spells and the arcane spell failure. That's page 1 of your character sheet here. And that's page 2 here. So with that, that's the second page. And it's got your feat, special abilities, languages on it, other possessions, gear, stuff like that. Languages, I said languages, money. And there's your arcane spell failure chance. Arcane, if you cover that up, is not the same as clerics with divine. So no prayer spell failure chance type thing that means in armor. As a certain type of loophole. Difference being, however, that the choices of science comparatively, more of a science, let's mull it out with gunpowder type thing in a mortar and pestle situation might yield a little bit different results, or access, or link through type thing for their given level. Sometimes worse, sometimes better. So there are things that are interesting. You could do both depending on how the cast level casts, and then looking at the separation. Very difficult in that situation. Mystic Theurge puts both together, but you have to qualify for it before you get there. Second level spells in both, I believe, from a DMG, and those things are difficult because second level spell doesn't come at second, comes at third for either side, unless you take a class with slower divine spell casting in it and slower arcane spell casting in it. Cleric does cast second divine at third character level, but I think a paladin doesn't start casting second paladin, which are divine, back equivalent, I guess, to like 8th or something like that. So third versus 8th, that was 5 more levels of character build up before getting the result of being in a Mystic Theurge. So it's a little bit slower type thing, and not something that you normally consider a work through. You should have to consider a work through without knowing that the mixture was already victory. So in there, I usually try to take a little bit more indented calculation to overall calculation and look at things from time to time, because some of the promise is definitely fine print of copyright. There is no fine print in existence. And let's see here. Why a revision in page 4 of the player's handbook is kind of in a sidebar print, but that's not small print. It's kind of looking for some type of copyright thing, which didn't really put you into things. It's like, why is it so little bitty type thing? Like they were trying to cover up something. That's fine print right there. That's Player's Handbook, Core Rulebook 1.5 or 3.5. Then you go down, and based on original Dungeons and Dragons, Wizard of the Coast, U.S. Canada, Dungeons and Dragons, D&D, Dungeon Master, D20 Systems, Player's Handbook, Wizard of the Coast, and their respective logos and trademarks of Wizard of the Coast, incorporated, distributed to the hobby, toy, and comic trade, United States and Canada by regional distributors, even though it's played worldwide. Distributed United States to the book trade by Holst Brink Publishing, distributed in Canada to the book trade by Finn Limited, distributed worldwide by Wizards of the Coast Incorporated, and that's a strange sentence, and regional distributors. The material is protected under the copyright laws of the United States of America, any international law, any permission of Wizards of the Coast
Any reproduction or unauthorized use of the material or artwork contained herein is prohibited without the express written permission of Wizards of the Coast Incorporated. This product is a work of fiction. Any similarity to actual people, organizations, places, or events is purely coincidental. Printed USA 2003, Wizards of the Coast Incorporated. Visit our website, www.wizards, or use drop the W's, wizards.com, D&D. Yeah. With the per symbol or per pound symbol in that type of sense, and dollar per pound. Yeah. In that complexity, is fine print. Yeah. So, that was an interesting second reading there. And in that second look, that's amazing. So, this first spells here of second look is not your saves, or your armor class or hit points, or your ability points, or your skills. They're your spells. You know, on your second page, which seems like your skills over there, type thing in that type of sense, but they're not. These skills are listed over your languages, which you can't because you took skill language type thing, and arcane spell or failure chance type thing. You go over here, that's arcane spell or fail chance, spells known, spell save DC, levels, spells per day, and bonus spells, which are kind of like your skills, the Molotov cocktail of a craft item. But a fireball in description is 10d6 or 60, and power maximized is 90, which is the same as a Tanglefoot bag, which it isn't, or a viscous glob type thing like spell compendium, or it's the same of the cocktail of the Molotov cocktail splash weapon in the PHB for a d6 type thing. That means being 84 off. So spells have a thing. Items take imbuement of spells in them to make them staffs to teleport. Otherwise, it's just a walking stick of a Steak and Shake commercial. There's no glow to it type thing of detect magic. It's just a stick. Very complicated, subtle separation there. And special abilities. Stability +4 of Dwarf is in the balance, taking that type of sense. If you remember the special ability of the second bullet down on page 15 under Stone Cunning, a cunning, or what is cunning? Like a gal compared to it, type thing, and a guru ability to see that. Gift a tongue for it, type thing that means. Somewhat unfortunate of a name. Or fortunate, depending on your point of view, I guess. But that's page 14. That's dwarf racial traits. And that is Stone Cunning. Not sure if my camera can pick that up yet. And that's another ability point. Weapon familiarity. Stability. And that's another bullet. +2 racial versus poison. Next one down. +2 racial on saving throws against spells. And that's spells versus poison. Important looks here. So, said a lot. I think the question of whether or not that should go forward or not is being overanalyzed. Because there is a forward to it. And what I'm going to look at today is the fire spells considered not to be related in the PHB. So when you make a Master Specialist or Evoker from Evocation, someone who manipulates a lot of energy, that you can look into it. So I wanted to start with looking at the character sheet. Last time we talked about was the Abjuration, Conjuration, Divination, Enchantment, Evocation, Illusion, Necromancy, Transmutation, 8 schools of magic. And we're going to be looking at the Evocation school. In description on page 57, in the first sentence it says they manipulate energy. In the second sentence, people who often take on Evocation school specialization are called Evokers, E-V-O-K-E-R. And in that means they specialize in like fire damage and things that means. So I'm going to go here and spell that here. If I can write this one-handed, if in that, and that, and Evoker right then and there. And that is from the Evocation subschool of casting class, or the energy class. Your fireballs and things of that nature in there, flaming spear, scorching ray, it's got fire in it, burning hand, all types of stuff. We're already ahead of ourselves. So let's get started on that, and that should be good. One complaint, not really a complaint, I never cut my stuff in front of there type thing by example, and so I thought this time, really wasn't a complaint. I had no comments on YouTube type thing because I'm just me, but the likes or views type thing are appreciated. Sometimes I put things on bulletin board here, and what you're going to do, I used to put them on note cards, but that got destructive quickly, and so now what I do is I just make my own note card tabs out of sheets of paper. Just take a 8.5 by 11, which I've already started to cut up in front of you, and you just cut out strips here, and then what you're going to do from the strips, you're going to gather those like some type of HD TV thing, and then you're going to cut these strips in like thirds or something like that, and then you have that's a fairly large one. I might use that, and you have index tabs now, type thing that you can use on a bulletin board, just like a post-it notes. And that's pretty cool. And that goes back in there, and then now we're going to take out a bulletin board here. This is the bulletin board that I had the last time that we were looking at Empowered Maximize Fireball. I have not altered it since that day. So now I'm going to alter it now for this video of original content, and I'm going to take here, put our bulletin board here, like so, and I'm going to remove those pins. Then I'm going to start our category of building our fire spell. Really not that complicated. We already said 3 out loud. So imagining 3 spells from the player's handbook dealing with fire for the Evoker is amazing, and it is possible. Let's see here. That's here. That's here. That's fire. Fire. It was just me, huh? Let's see here. I'm not going to go through the levels of it right now, like the difference of, like, not at 36,000 experience. Am I going to get the same effect right now at 15,000? I'm like, well, no sir, no ma'am. Because you're not at that level. But it just, sometimes a coincidence there, and that's not really a question type thing. It is a question when you're developing things, because without that being relevant at that level, then it might not be relevant in the future, and that might give you the wrong inclination that you're on the wrong development path within your research design when you were on the right path. You just need to stick it out longer. And that is, I'm not sure for that's relationship, business advice type thing, but there are a lot of things that aren't going to have a pretty convincement in the future as far as an incubation. And just try to keep at it so that it can become, dare I say, more relevant in the future. So that's here. That was Empowered Maximize. And now that we took those off, we are ready to start looking at a clean board. Ta-da! And with that clean board, let's see there. We're going to flip up here. And I left my categories in here overnight because I didn't want to put them on the new board yet. I had forgotten about them here. And that is here. Alright. And that's here. So I'm going to translate these here for us. I'm going to try to write one-handedly again. And I guess we're going to go get, do I have enough paper in here nearby me to do that? Let's see here. Yeah, got stock here. Do that here. Yep, that's only one sheet. And here we go. Still, well, anyway. So a lot of new start overs here. So excuse the mess, I suppose. Let's go here. I'm going to move these over first. We're going to do that from book, and then we're going to just elaborate. We've now reached the 15-minute mark of explaining this. Let's see here. It's page 57. And that was school specialization. And that's evocation. And spells that imbue the recipient with some property or grant the caster power over another being, period. And enchantment specialist is called an enchanter. Oops. And evocation, spells that manipulate energy to create something from nothing, period. Evocation specialist called an evoker. Yeah. And that is... So let's get started. And now we're going to turn back to spells. That's a wizard. Chart specialization. The sorcerer cannot take a school specialization because they are not into books. They have a somewhat compensated casting curve, but not an individual spell choice curve. That takes a long time to grasp when multi-classing and taking levels out of them. Yeah. It's even a bigger mess. Yeah. So in that, we're going to go back here, and we're going to do that. I can't fathom stuff. Okay, let's see here. This is first level wizard, and that's second level wizard, and this is third level wizard, fourth, fifth level wizard, and sixth level wizard, and seventh, and eighth, and then ninth level wizard. Corresponding, we just ended at 9 levels of casting, despite the first, and that's first, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth, and ninth level spell casting of a wizard that's at first, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth, ninth, 10th, 11th, 12th, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, or 20, corresponding to that 20 type thing in that type of sense of page 22's 20 of not the first table but the second table of first, second, third, fourth, down to 20 of 190,000 experience. So in your career of 190,000 experience, you'll pick up 9 spell levels of 20 levels in your wizard class. So 20 levels of wizard equates mini years. Equates 20 levels of wizard equates to 9 levels of spells. And some of those spells in the revised have metamagic feats. Now, don't forget that some of the metamagic feats are corresponding to not the addition of some of your character feats, which could be faster. But I think fighters are every 2 and not every 3. It's slightly faster. And so in that, those are the feats right there in character feats on that table at first, second, third feat at set 6 level, which is 1 level up the metamagic feat. However, in that, the class feat of the wizard sometimes may be more of a bonus or less of a bonus if you could qualify with it, because this one says that it's immediately a metamagic feat and can come from the metamagic or other schools taking that type of sense in bonus feats on page 57. The 5th, 10th, 15th, 20th level wizard gains a bonus feat. Each such opportunity she can choose a metamagic feat and an item creation feat or spell mastery. The wizard must still meet all prerequisites for a bonus feat, including caster level minimums. See chapter 5 for descriptions of feats and their prerequisites. These bonus feats are, in addition to the feat that a character of any class gets every 3 levels, as given on table 3.2, experience and level dependent benefits, page 22. The wizard is not limited to the categories of item creation feats, metamagic feats, or spell mastery when choosing these feats in your character one. Now, sometimes in that, those are more open feats, I think, in that type of sense, but knowing that you have a dedicated metamagic item creation feat or something coming from your class is more of a benefit. Because you know what's going down on that type thing, and it told you that it could be in an item type thing. Sometimes it works against you, And you're like, even though I had that choice, particularly taking any other caster level or other things like that, so it didn't matter. You have to, type thing. All right, we're good on that. So now we're going back to magic spells here. And let's see here. That's Abjuration, Conjuration, Divination, Enchantment, and Evocation. Burning Hands is one, taking that type of sense. First level spell, it says Sorcerer in that means, but we're going to concentrate on the Wizard part. The existential Wizard part. Okay, there. And, we're going to leave, that's a box and that's a box type thing, that type of sense. And we're going to go with Wizard, not the Sorcerer part. So that's going to be just the Wizard side of it. Sorcerers can access this list just limitedly. Their library card privileges aren't high enough. I am checking on my compression over there. So let's go over here again. That's first level spell and evocation, because we're working with the school specialization of that, and you get a spellcraft check with it and an extra spell of each level that you do up to 9th level type thing. Each level, not your highest level, in that type thing, that type of sense. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. 9 being the highest level of spells type thing, and that's your bonus spell. But it didn't say highest, it said the word each type thing, that type of sense, like each highest, which is 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, and 9th. That's 9 bonus spells, not just 1. Something to keep in mind for those who like the Elf Generalist Wizard substitution type thing and find specialty to such considerations. So evocation type thing, that's Burning Hands. Now, this is fire type thing, and the problem with Magic Missile is that it is not fire. It is still in the evocation class or subschool of casting, but it's actually a force effect, which is not fire effect type thing. That means right there. So with that type thing, that means I like it because here with Burning Hands, it's like a 15-foot range. And some of the other spells are going to take a d20 because you're in a d20 system to attack. And this one said on or without error. Oh yeah. And not air, error. And so in that type thing, in that type of sense, or to err, or something weird like that. In that, Magic Missile does not need a d20. You just point and shoot, point, click, and ship, and it ships it. So with that, I do like that. It's still an evocation, and you can add it with your specialist spell type thing at the beginning level. That's exciting. Let's move on. But technically, the fire one of that enlisting in the player's handbook and revised 3.5, which may or may not be a spell in Pathfinder, is the fact that it's Burning Hands with fire. But just keep in mind the Magic Missile thing, which says that it's fire from the fingertips, is really a force effect, not in the fire school. It's more in a Patrona force pushover type thing in that type of sense. Even though it's not an abjuration protection spell. Okay, now, second level type thing that means is abjuration, conjuration, divination, enchantment, evocation, continual flame, darkness, flaming spear. A popular one because this one, magic-wise, actually ignites and says ignite in the bottom of its description type thing. Gust of wind, scorching ray doesn't ignite, but it hurts. Yeah. And so in that type thing, the scorching ray ignites. Seems like it would do less, but when reading it, you feel like you're going to get 3 rays to do like 1.3 damage or something like that, or 1.3 dice damage in there, and that's not the case. Each dice roll that you have, or each ray, does 4d6. Type thing that means. So if you do 3 rays, you do 12d6, and that is the spell. Now your caster maximize. I think at the bottom of this description says that you're going to do caster. It does the maximize of the caster that you already do. So now if you're Wizard 1, then the maximum caster that you have is before epic is 20. But the one that you were actually in the level of was the 1, so you're going to drop the 1 in front of a d4, which means the maximization of that is going to be 4 damage. Same for things with 5 maximization cap type thing, and they're like at Wizard 9 or Wizard 5th level you'll do 5, and you're like in the spell description, but your actual Wizard character level type thing is 1, that's 4 off, and your character number is considered first, I think in that type of sense, and the 1 is going to be the one that's dropped, and it's going to be a D4 equal to 4 instead of 20, a difference of 16. So some things of consideration before a Pythagorean redox equation gets off in that means. And so that's fire here, type thing from Scorching Ray. It's 2 words. The ray is a word type thing, and it's a seeking ray, or in that type of sense, a split ray, you know, in that type thing, but it's of the spell Scorching Ray. If that's a description of the adjective adverb on the word ray, maybe that is. Okay, third level is going to be Fireball, and that is a fire spell, obviously, and in a description I believe it says 10d6. Fourth level is here, that's Evocation, Daylight, Fireball, and you're like, well, Daylight's kind of more fire, it could burn you type thing, we're going with Fireball. And in fourth level, that's Abjuration, Conjuration, Divination, Enchantment, Evocation, Fire Shield, Ice Storm. Big no-no here, type thing in that type of sense. There is no fire other than a defensive wall of fire type thing. So it's Ice Storm here, but then if you go here, and try not to scratch that up, and then let's get a tip in here. That's the D&D wiki, that's energy substitution. Here, it says that the alter spell works normally in all respects except the type of damage dealt. So it's just going to sub out a 4th level spell for a 4th level spell. And in the ice benefit, you choose one type of energy acid, cold, electricity, fire, sonic. When employing a spell with the acid, cold, electricity, fire, sonic designator, you can modify the spell to use your chosen type of energy instead. So it said energy, acid, or cold. Ice Storm definitely has cold. Ice is usually cold. It's ice cube cold, I think in that type of sense. Wrap cold, or do you mean refrigerator cold? And or do you mean Coors Light, ice cube, cold, to its coolest of cold? Yeah. I think I just mean cold. Yeah. So with that, so it's just like hot cocoa cold. And let's see here. From that is Evocation, and see it says cold here, and we don't want cold. We are an Evoker, Evocation schools, or sub-school of magic out of the 8 schools, type thing, other than that being abjuration, enchantment, illusion, transmutation, necromancy, and things like that. And from there, just like the previous video, we want that to be our specialty of energy, which is fire. That's our energy, and that's our evocation type thing. That's energy, E there, and that's evocation, and those are not the same word. They feel the same, but they are not. And in that type thing, that coal is, we're going to switch the coal to fire as an energy type, and that's going to be through the metamagic feat, which might take 3rd or 6th level or 5th level of the metamagic feat to switch it into the energy substitution. Now in the name here it says energy substitution, and in parentheses it says metamagic. So that is what it takes. It's just a feat, I believe. No, that's a world time buddy clock, and that's awesome. So that feat, which it says any other metamagic feat, and then you take this type thing, it is a feat. I don't see it saying that anywhere, but it is a feat. So a feat is like a fighter feat type thing in that type of sense, which feels like feet that you walk on, and sometimes you need to see that explanation. It's like a feature, like a movie feature type thing in that type of sense. Oh, look at that. Yeah. So that's very complicated. That's energy substitution at the character feat type thing in the bonus feats of memory, page 55. And that's a bonus feat at 5th level wizard. You could probably take it there if you could take a metamagic feat in there. Now, I don't have my complete arcana and complete mage anymore. I'm not sure if they're in the Pathfinder series. However, there are some pretty weak metamagic spells out there. And so you can take that one at 5th, and at 3rd type thing here, there's a metamagic feat at 3,000, then 6 class skill max ranks here, like that. And then that's 3rd, 3,006, 3. Yeah, that's complexity. And then 2nd type thing here, right there. Yeah. Not really complexity with it being as Maxinista as it is. And so second feat type thing there is at third. Now a third wizard, which is extremely complicated, third wizard can do first and second level spells. Now you go back to your metamagic listing of feats, which aren't heightened metamagic, which is really complicated. And there's on page 91 at the bottom here are metamagic feats: enlarge spell, empower, extend, heighten, maximize, quicken, silent, still, and widen. So about one metamagic feat, which it says back up at the top of it type thing, which it doesn't. And so with that type thing, and that means there's like 10 of them, you're doing one, leaving 9 that you didn't do or need to consider. Now, some of them, and I read empower and enlarge out of sync, that's silent and still spell. So we look up silent, and that means silent spell uses up a spell slot 1 level higher type thing here on page 100. And that's a metamagic feat. So it said you needed to do a metamagic feat before you take the energy substitution metamagic feat to get started on that feature of your character. Now, that's first and second level spell. Let's say now that's like a pretty high level, a third level for you to take that. But you've got a first level spell, like your Burning Hands. And with that, that's your Burning Hands, that's a first level spell. And you're going to add the 1 slot higher of the silent spell, metamagic feat. So that's 1 plus 1, which is 2. So now that's a second level spell, which you can cast on your character, taking that type of sense. And you've already taken a metamagic feat. So when that was at third at 3,000, and at fourth and 6,000, and then that was a character feat on page 22. Now you can go back to page 55. Let's go back to page 22 because that was too much in memory. And that's page 22. That's table 3.2, not the table 3.1, which is the first table, but the second table, third, 3,000 experience here, and that's over 6 and 3, and second feat type thing. That's where you're going to take your character feat as a metamagic feat for a spell that you can cast in character of page 55. So now on page 55, in that type of sense, you were third level, plus 1, plus 1, plus 1, 3, 4, 2 first, and 1 second. You can cast a spell and take the character feat to handle that. Now you're going to go from third level to fourth level, and from fourth level to fifth level, and pick up your bonus feat that's not a character feat, but in a class feat in your wizard class on 318 and not on table 3.2. It's another feat in addition to your regular feat, not your overall character, but your subset job feat or feature of your character type thing. And that means only independent to your particular job that you took in a Final Fantasy sense, or Final Fantasy Tactics, or other Final Fantasy experience rater rank increaser type thing, where they include your class more as a job than they do as a class, to be confused with the other beginning hard consonant character class level feature compared to a class feature word type thing, which sounds similar and thus must be the same feat and not in addition to each other, which they are in addition to it, and made that possible type thing. Character feat at third level type thing, then to fourth from third level character to non-sequence without looking at first level, going from third level to fourth level for 6,000 experience, from fourth level to fifth level to 10,000 experience, being 7,000 experience off, and at that 7,000 increase from your character feat at 3,000, at 10,000, you're going to pick your character feat in your wizard class as your fifth level bonus feat. And now your bonus feat, instead of taking your silent spell metamagic, you're going to take your energy substitution metamagic type thing, and that means. And that was a meta magic, and that is also a meta magic. So in that, you're going to silent cast your energy if Burning Hands has that type of capability, which I don't think it does. And in that, it does have a verbal component in its spell, which now you don't need if somebody casts in a silent area in that type of thing. Then from there, you can, the silent spell is in the PHB, and also of more complexity than needed to be. From here, that is QRST TUV silence. That is Bar 2, Cleric 2, page 279, in under Shrink Item, which is beyond the abstract, and that's to silence type thing right then and there. And upon the casting of the spell, complete silence prevails in the affected area. So now you need to be verbal in that area, but you can't because there's a silence thing going on. But wait, you've got the silent spell feature on your character type thing you can cast in silent areas. Oh, that's right. You need to you sign language it out. And you can sign language it out and make that still possible. That's character manipulation. That's your app phone feature, or your feature of your character in that type of sense, that Holler went past the modular aspect of the mod and gave you notoriety. Yeah, that's right. Now, Ice Storm, back to that, is a metamagic energy substitution, which you qualified for by 5th level type thing. 7th level Ice Storm is casted at, that's a 4th level spell. 4th level spell and spells per day, back on page 55. Down to 4th level spell book once per day, and then over to 7th level wizard. And can get out of practice on that. So now we're at 10,000 experience. Now we go from 10,000 to 15,000 at 5th to 6th level, and from 6th to 7th level at 21,000 experience. So another 11,000 on top of that sequence. Then from there, globally, we can say we can cast an Ice Storm, which we're going to use as an energy metamagic substitution from the character feat at 3rd level and the bonus feat at 5th level type thing to be able to swap out the cold to fire in our Ice Storm. Yeah, that's... Now, this is a cold thing here in that type of sense, and this is a fire thing here, right there. So you could rename that since it's no longer cold. Then the name of Fire Ice Storm type thing really doesn't apply. I guess you could call it Fire Ice, but that's you translated that energy from cold to energy fire, and now you're just going to use the last thing that you mentioned. You can drop that down in the bottom line summation. There's fire, and then there's storm. So Firestorm. So 4th level Firestorm, thanks to the metamagic energy substitution. Now I know that seems complicated, excuse me, typing there. But now, since that was Fireball, Scorching Ray, and Magic Missile, or Burning Hands, that's Burning Hands of Fire, Scorching Ray of Fire, Fireball of Fire, and Ice Storm, now a Firestorm of Fire. So now, you use the PHB and energy substitution in Complete Arcane to keep 4 fire spells with 4 spell levels type thing of casting. And Ice Storm converted over to a fire is not more damage than Fireball. However, Ice Storm has no saving throw. It's got a weaker range, but it has no saving throw. So now, that's your thing, which you can convert it to fire, and it's a Firestorm, and through your energy metamagic substitution, and cure, saving throw, none. On page 243, and underneath, the creature that fails the saving throw does not remember that you expelled it, and then space, then Ice Storm, which you converted to Firestorm, Evocation Fire, and then you go down through Evocation Fire now instead of the cold that's listed in print, and then you go to level, components, casting time, range, area, duration, saving throw, and then none. So in that type thing, in that type of sense, there is no saving throw, there is no reflex saving throw, there is just the fire of it, like Kelgo's Firebolt type thing to save off half of it. No, you take the full amount of damage. Now, it won't make 10d6 empowered, maximize times 1.5. Empower maximize makes the D rolls, the D4, D6s type thing in that type of sense, not be 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. It guarantees all your rolls are going to be 6s. The empowered says take that result, even though you rolled 6s, and give it 50% more M&Ms to it. So in that type thing, which that's also on Facebook, and appreciate if you like or subscribe to that and watch that as well. Although that would be great. That's 60 times 1.5, which is 90 damage, 10 off of 100. And this spell does not do 100 damage. It does 3d6 plus 2d6, and which is 5d6 or 30 damage without a saving throw at a range of 400 feet plus 40 feet per wizard caster level that you have. Your wizard 7, so that's wizard 7 when you start this, times 40, which is 280, plus 400, which is 680 range for the 5d6 with no saving throw. And that's very complicated, of fire and that type of thing. If you're in some situation where somebody's like the rogues or something like that, we've got evasion, but we're not high enough to have improved evasion within our special ability thing, so that we can avoid even any calamity, and we've got a reflex saving throw to avoid the fire and make it 0. That has no saving throw, so they can't roll a reflex saving throw to the non-saving throw of the spell, so they have to take all the damage. So you might want to consider that if you can identify them as being with a phone app feature of evasion that you may think within their time round, time Doctor Who constraint that they're going to avoid when your time in the throw of that anyway type thing, with the evasion on them not being in the same time slot that you imagined at the time that they wanted you to know that you thought you did know. So from that type of complexity is the non-necessity of knowing what an round instance is and when it's going to go off and what initiative and things of that nature. Now, that's 312, and that's shield bonus, shaken, scribe, school of magic, saving throw, sacred bonus, round, a 6-second unit of time, of game time. That 6 seconds is going into 60 seconds, which is leaving 54 seconds of a minute unaccounted for. So those 54 seconds are actual also other rounds, as you keep breaking up 6, and 6 times 9 is 54. So it is 9 more rounds in it. A turn is 10 rounds, and there's a turn is 1 minute, so that's 10 rounds in a minute type thing, or 6-second rounds. So that complexity is not fun. That back to page 50. That's the rogue. That's Lita, and stick attack. And that's from there, and at D&D, PHP, PSA, which are on YouTube. You should check those out. They're parodies, I guess, of these characters. And badass sorcerer. Looking fabulous. Yeah, I know. 14, close. Christmas one is a little odd because of the belt buckles that are in it type thing, and seeing that many guys getting together for a Christmas carol in belt buckles in khakis. But that's the improved uncanny dodge and the unbelievable mention special ability in there type thing at 13th and at 10th level, which is actually on your character level repeating type thing here. That's 10th level special ability on a rogue chart. That's when they're going to get, well, I don't know, crippling strike, defensive roll, improved evasion, and opportunist, and skill mastery. But we were looking at improved evasion. Oh, and look there, improved evasion, they mentioned fireball. Yeah. So in that type of sense, rogues are already going to be thinking it and getting ahead. If that's their feature of their particular level character, they're definitely going to evade you. Even if they roll a 1 with improved evasion, they only take half of your fire damage. Henceforth, she takes only half damage on a failed, not successful, failed attempt. She rolls a 1 on a d20 type thing, which is not critical. That's a fumble type thing from Darkness Rising and Hands of Fate of Zombie Orpheus. And in that, she rolls a 1 on that, and you're like, I have an empowered maximized fireball. In your professional opinion, Doctor, in A Few Good Men, you are 10 off of 100 damage of taken. And you're like, henceforth, I am not at 10 off of 100, and I will not back off, sir. From Last of the Mohicans, I'm at 45 less of what your 90 predicted because of my 007 black or gray or clear improved evasion credit card in this type of sense, which says that even though I fail it, I only take half. Outranking your spell. So now, to avoid such silliness, you're going to look up a different spell, and, you might do that type thing, or lick your fingers and turn pages, or, let me think about this. No, I'm not going to accept that. They're fired. You're going to go A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, Ice Storm. And it's a no saving throw, outranking your half again failed saving throw. Because you don't get a saving throw to not half again fail. See there? And the saving throw is none. There is no saving throw on that. That's page 177. There's always a saving throw to things, and that spell negates their right to a saving throw. See, and that's page 177. That's negates, partial, half, and none. And the none thing says no saving throw is allowed. Yeah. Ice Storm converted through energy substitution to Firestorm. Yeah. Took their right out. Yeah. Took them right out. So now we've gone far enough and we need a review and kind of a speed up of the formula there because we've spent an inordinate amount of time being ridiculous. Just ridiculous. So we did Burning Hands. That's got fire in it. I personally like Magic Missile, but you know, as a substitute for that fire. So that's Burning Hands, and it's at fire, but that's a range of 15 feet, 385 feet minimum at least behind the other fire listed there. I've got some other fire spells that I should consider. You know, we've got that there. We got Burning Hands. We got some fire. That's gonna be great. What's her name? That suit thing. And I put it in a box. And I wrap it, and I'm like, my crap. So I just. And that's Scorching Ray. And because if you've got to sit there and logarithmically take on your crap type thing, I mean, how exciting is that? So I just. I had some more crap that I collected and I didn't store it beforehand. So I just make it easier. Good morning. Good morning. So with that, that's Fireball and Wipe, and at midnight. And that's Fireball there. And we had Ice Storm, which I need to label out now as his conversion in indented calculation. And that's Firestorm, and people are, you know, I don't want them calling or anything like that. Yeah, like, where do you live, bud? Because you're not, what's that called? Safe. So, so that's not good logic. Is not. And so Tanatsi, yeah. Is Tunsi is naughty. Yeah. We're gonna get some other languages here, or what's my issue here? So I just okay from Firestorm spell there. Moving on. When you have to. And now we're going to look in some other spells here. That's 5th level has the same trick to it. And that's called a Cone of Cold. Not different range, but different damage as far as its maximization as how far it goes up. Cone of Cold is going to become a Cone of Fire. Yeah, Cone of Fire. That's what we were going for. Cone of Fire. Yeah. Just like the same spell level of that of the whoops, and I did not want to do that. I want to do here, and that's here, and a blank one there, and that's just terrible. I'm gonna flip that over. Must we? Yeah. And in that same, just couldn't assume. Was it too much to just continue on with it? Yeah. Okay. So I'm just so we're on specialty there. From Cone of Cold, 6th level is an interesting thing in Evocation, which is Chain Lightning. I've gone too far for memory's sake to throw back on, and that's here, and that was a good hour. And that was now 5th level, and we're doing Evocation, Big B's Interposing Hand, until one opponent to Cone of Cold. And we're going to change that to Cone which is an energy. Cone, or is a shape of environment, area of attack, AoE, and cone of fire with the energy meta magic substitution. And so da-da-da, and 6th level type thing is enchantment, evocation, Big B's forceful hand, and chain lightning. No mention of fire, Odaloking's freezing spear, and lightning type thing. Another energy substitution at 6th level type thing off the same burning hand trick. And from that, you can change electricity to fire. Now it's a chain lightning, and that means lightning is chain lightnings in C, which is in this book very confusingly. And in here, that is chain lightning, evocation, electricity, which is mentioned in energy substitution here of that feat spell. Boo! And we're gonna flip that. Boo! And right there. And it said acid, cold, or electricity now. And we're gonna change the electricity over to fire. It's gonna take a separate feat to do that. So now you're gonna have to take energy meta magic substitution at 5th level, but that was for cold, not electricity. And so now that we're not naming the cold energy type thing, we're naming electricity, we're going to have to take a separate feat. So that is confusing of a stack. That was one energy type, and this is the second energy type here, and that's electricity and coal. And at character level 5th and character level 6, at 5th level you had a meta magic feat from Wizard Chart, and at 6th level you have another character feat type thing right behind that, and you're going to take energy meta magic substitution cold to fire, and you're going to take energy meta magic substitution electricity to fire. Very, very amazingly. So now at 10,000 and at 15,000 on page 22, you're going to do both. And here in a second, give me here, I'm going to take a break and continue on. Okay, back from break. That was 5th and 6th level type thing for meta magic there. And we'll have that video up later. I was compressing here. I need to pull that out. It's going to be on the Halo one today for the rescues and the rescue attempts on that first Halo. I was just giving a sample of the Halo because of the Cortana thing. You know, like Cortana's is, you know, it's like there's a lot of different background aspects that were said of Halo, and that being the first Halo, I wanted to like just throw up a quick series of movies showing the Halo gameplay and really the story that it kicked off, rather than some of the other subjective ideals. So I'm gonna put like 3 Halo videos in there, and then you'll see the spell school specialization video for the Evoker, and the amount of sub schools that you have left over to still consider from, and then from there, which I think is 5 sub schools afterwards for Evoker if they take focus specialist because they got to lose another school. So it's 2 prohibited plus the 1 more prohibited, so that's 8 schools starting minus the 3, which is 5 left over. So they have 5 schools that they can choose from in there with their specialty. But the intelligence ones, the chart one, can later on you'll get more chart spells, goes up to 4 chart ones. All those can come from the other schools. The 3 school specialization ones, those have to come from the school that you decide to specialize in. Those particular choices are locked amongst the spells in their specialized sub-school. The intelligence bonus one isn't, and the chart one on page, because you're done a lot of them at 1s, but not any of them on page 55 at 4, or 3s or 2s type thing as a calculation minus the 1 type thing, leaving 1 chart left over, and a free chart one of the 5 schools rather than just a school specialization one. Haven't really done that and sat with it type thing in that type of sense and really gave it a second look. Okay, now from those spells type thing, we were covering fire spells, and that was a good segue there. Sorry everyone, sorry. It was the to and not from. That's a first level evocation burning hands, a fire spell, even though I still like magic missile in there from unerringly type thing. But that is a possibility, and didn't cover precocious apprentice, the ability to cast a second level spell at first, which is a different spell level from first to second level, is a different spell level of evocation school there. So it is subject to another school of specialization level spell, or more school specialization with focus specialization spells on top of it at first. Something I was doing with Cialti and setting up and establishing that, also a video online. Danger! Danger! Alright, and so with that, we need to look at, that was Scorching Ray in Evocation, and then fall into third level Evocation. Also, intelligence bonus applies to the different levels of first, second, and third. What about it? Unfortunate or incredible crew being canceled. We should not have been, and should have evolved itself. Also, some of them still got career choices. I think all of them did. They're very talented. Harder or easier, Brad? And so that's intelligence bonus for this spell level, intelligence level for this spell level, and intelligence level for this spell level. That's a first level spell, and those are second level spells, and those are third level spells. So you have 3 intelligence bonuses kicking in there. Also, all of those are subject to specialist bonus of spell level on top of that, along with the ones that aren't subtracted from your chart ones, which are normally 1 unless they get up to the 4 type thing, or 6 on a sorcerer. But a sorcerer can only pick so many spells out of this whole list of the 8 schools that you had availability from first to second type thing. They can take like 3 of those spells, and you have a spell book. You could take all of them if you wanted, if they weren't prohibited. So there's a difference of choice there that they can cast in the next day. Even though a sorcerer can cast more of those spells type thing in that type of sense, they can't switch the choice out of that. So like both of them start in Abjuration, and like I can cast 6 of those per day. I can't cast 6 of those per day, but I can switch my whole book over to my Evocation or Illusion. And then do 3 of those in that day. Or eventually 4 of those in that day, plus Intelligence Specialist once I'm high enough. So then they might have 3 spells, Alarm, Endure Element, and Whole Portal, and you're like, I have 3 spells type thing, and they're like, I cast 2 of each in one day on Monday, and you're like, I cast 1 of them on Monday and not 2 of each. And then Tuesday type thing, they're like, I cast 2 Alarms, 2 Endure Element, or 2 Whole Portals, or I do 6 Whole Portals type thing in that type of sense. And you're like, I do 3 Magic Missiles, because I switched out to the other spells that I memorized in my, prepared, or written in my spell book on page 174, 177. Which the sorcerer can't do, even though they can cast from this chart and cast more from it. They can't switch from the Abjuration school to Evocation school in that means, or they can't go to Conjuration. So you're like, oh, I'm gonna switch out my 3 spells that I cast and cast 3 Summon Monster Wands, and the sorcerer's like, I'm gonna switch the 3 Summon Monster Wands and Grease Mage Armor Mount Obscuring Mist and Summon Monster 1, but that's another spell known for them typing in that type of sense. And they can't cast another spell that they haven't trained up to know yet, taking in that type of sense, and you just refer to your book like an encyclopedia, just reset out notes for it type thing, and then just recast it. So the sorcerer can cast from this list. I think there's some complexity of spells known on page 54, going up to 3 and 4, taking that type of sense, comparatively to table 316 on page 52, with the spells per day that go up to 6 casting of those spells known, taking that type of sense. That's their pages, and that's how many times they can cast those pages. That's cool. But they only know 2 pages, and you know like 12 pages, taking that type of sense. That's right, you cast them less. And that validation type thing, depending on which spell choices on those different pages that you switch out to understand and know in a module, might change the effect of the adventure, because then that next day they didn't know any pages of summoning type thing, but you did once you had a chance to refresh in your study book. It's not complicated, but we made it far beyond that type thing, that type of sense. You have a spell book, and then you're like, I'm going to do here, I'm going to do Abjuration. Now I'm going to do Abjuration as a Sorcerer Wizard, both come from the same list. And now you're like, I'm not going to do fill that with an abjuration. I need to put that on an even one. And now they were both casting abjurations, type thing that means, which is the first spell level with alarm, endure elements, and complexity. I'm going to take that out. I'm going to go back to my spell book on page 177, and in that, and that's here, which a sorcerer can't do, and that's a spell book there in that. And now on that, type thing in that type of sense, that's that's amazing. Type thing in that type of sense, that's a sorcerer who does cast from this list. Type thing in that means. Which they don't. And you're used to saying that as one word, which you're not supposed to, type thing that means. That's a sorcerer. They cast from this list. So now they cast from it. You're like, I'm going to study my spell book. Sorcerer's like, I don't have a spell book, so I'm still stuck with my abjuration spell, alarm. And you're like, I had alarm, but I'm going to put it back in my book. And then from putting it back in my book, I'm going to go into my book here. And I'm going to go back into my book. I'm going to put my alarm away, and I've got a conjuration there. I'm going to take out my conjuration, and I'm going to put it in play type thing as far as my memorized spell for the day. And I'm going to change out my spell type thing, and that spell that you changed out to type thing, that type of sense, they can't change to. So even though you can cast these, now this one here, you're like, I cast this like 4 times per day, and on here, and they're like, I cast mine at 6 per day type thing, and that means. So they do cast it more type thing, but there was a spell that you could switch to that they couldn't because of the way that their structure of swapping out spells at 4th or 8th level type thing. And that's like at 4th or 8th level is per day. So now at 4th level type thing on page 22, that's 4th, that's 6,000. At 8th level I change it out again, 22,000 experience later. You're like, I don't need 22,000 experience later as a wizard. I just do it in, from Monday to Tuesday in a calendar. I swap up my spells faster than you do, type thing, in that type of sense. And it's really complicated type thing. There's a calendar, which that isn't, multiple months type thing. And from there, that's a Sunday and a Monday, and that's a day type thing, a Monday type thing in that type of sense, which is a day. And then from Tuesday, you're going to go to the next day, and you're like, I needed to wait 22,000 experience to do that. So that I could swap out that spell with the sorcerer type thing, and I don't need to. I can swap it now. Yeah. Oh, that's right. I can do it today. Or the week like you do. And that's another second look, something a little bit more in-depth in category to give that advantage or choice, the choice ability to switch, the choice to keep alarm and have to stay alarm, or the choice to switch from alarm to a summoning spell type thing in that type of sense. Something which is the same variability or modularity or form and functionality that the sorcerer shares. Yeah. Oh, see, I can change that. They don't have that choice to change their spell. They're just stuck with their original spell. And there's an extreme amount of tug in that's delimiting the other future possibility of choices that a wizard can do in like fashions. Okay, delineated from that. Now, in that's spells here. And that's two type thing that means. That's first level spell here. We were on Evocation, Burning Hands, and my Magic Missile thing. And Evocation, that's Scorching Ray. And that's 3rd level Sorcerer Wizard spells. 3rd spells. That is Fireball, right there behind Daylight. Now to 4th level spells, that is Abjuration. We have to turn the page. And that's Fire Shield and Ice Storm. Fire Shield, a little bit more defensive along with the Wall of Fire. Ice Storm is a Blizzard spell. Yeah. And converted over to Fire through Energy Metamagic Substitution, which is pretty much like a Wall of Fire or Fire Shield, except for it's a little bit more offensive. And it Hail deals 5d6 damage with no saving throw. Thanks to your Energy Metamagic Substitution, you convert that over. 5th level Sorcerer Wizard spells. 5th level spells, and we're going to go to Evocation, Cone of Coal, switching a Cone of Coal to a Cone of Coal to Fire, taking that type of sense, and a Cone of Fire. And 6th level, type thing that means, is an Evocation, Big Beast Forceful Hand, Chain Lightning, Chain Electricity to Fire through Energy Metamagic Substitution. 2 separate feats because they're not both cold and electricity, even though that's the first feat here at 5th level that we're looking at, and this is the next feat here at 2nd level. That's 2 feats here in that means. And then that was 5th level, 10,000 experience type thing there, which was not a good global view. That's why it didn't exist. And from there, that is 5th level, 2, 1, 1, 4 bonus feat there in that type of sense on your wizard class feat or job feat. And now your overall character feat back on page 22, we're going to go from 10,000 to 15,000 and then 9, 6.5. And your 3rd character feat right after, energy metamagic substitution cold, energy metamagic substitution electricity, energy metamagic substitution cold, energy metamagic substitution electricity at 6th level from 5th to 6th level. I suggest, dear Watson, that the evidence is in front of you for the first 2 feats being of energy metamagic substitution of fires from cold to electricity. I love that show. Yeah. Huh. And don't you think it should have had maybe just a slight more intuition to it? I see. Yes, the diagram is very complicated. See, it's just... Well done, Watson. You've once again added an element that no one has considered. That's amazing. And now, these are different spell levels here to the type of sense, and we're at 6th level. And he is involved. So it's and her, man, him in that world, 2 differences type thing in that type of sense. Lee is not 1880, 1860 Industrial Revolution Sherlock Holmes investigation from Sir Arthur Conan Doyle. He's now Sherlock Holmes. I don't know why I said Lee. Is like I was about to say Sherlock, like Shanghai Nights. It's a period piece now in the Romeo and Juliet thing in present day, which is 2014, 100 years plus after the 1880, 1860 thing. And so from that, they modernized the story, and Jude Law and Robert Downey Jr. are not Game of Shadows playing Dr. Watson and Sherlock Holmes in their case either. And from that type thing, there's been a lot of Doctor Who's. There's also Benedict Cumberbatch on the PBS one, with a different Watson who's like Tudyk. And that guy they're both interesting in that sense, which is also sort of more modern day. But in that, which is not to be considered confused with Endeavour with Lewis and Morse, Inspector Morse of a same series, or can be if we're from there. From that type of sense, that is the fact that they went with the present day one. They assumed that Watson, the Doctor, wasn't a guy but a female, and they casted Lucy Liu for it in the remake of that, which was an interesting choice, not to keep the guy-guy relationship, but a guy-woman relationship of Watson to Sherlock. And also their different energy of yin and yang of how to approach a problem. It's very intriguing and even riveting. So Johnny Lee Miller, Lucy Liu, CBS, they get crime drama like PBS. They do a fair job. CSI with Marge and some of the earlier seasons with Grisham and stuff are actually fairly well thought out. Elizabeth Shue ones and some of their payoff ones, and the Bleach Killer type thing was with the miniatures and stuff. That was neat. Some of the other ones with Emily Proctor on Miami and stuff like that. That was a great series. So British Doctor Who, yeah. All right, we gone too far. Nope, still too far. And we just see boom. Alright, we're good. And so from that type of sense, anyway, that was one change order. They decided to add a female counterpart type thing. So they had male in Sherlock and Robert Downey and Jude Law. Both of them were guys. And then in that type of sense, when they did the remake, they casted Lucy Liu, a female, so it was a guy-female instead of guy-to-guy type thing in that type of sense, which is the same thing that it was. It was guy to guy and guy to guy type thing, and that means, which it isn't. It changed that relationship in between the two of them by casting an opposite gender, which also casts different villains and also different perspective of the male self in crime and the female self in crime, like a Miss Marple or Agatha Christie's Poirot thing, or Doyle's Doyle's Sherlock Holmes. And then when they got to the villain, which in that world is M is God, I just had his name. It's not Morgan. A doctor in Mortuary, or something like that. That Mortuary taking that type of sins. It's got some Latin things like mortuary, like a funeral home, taking that type of sense, a doctor of death who sold weapons and things like that. I think that's related. And in this world type thing, they used to be a guy from some of those things there, which I guess is like 3 or something like that. And in that was a guy type thing, but they changed out M from being a guy to being a woman. It's a woman villain in that series. A woman Dr. Watson and a woman mastermind villain in M. Being Natalie Dormer on CBS One, part of Game of Thrones. Not the one since the other red one with blue dress and gold dress. Later on from the family that wanted to marry Jeffries the second time. They look very, very similar, but one has got more strawberry ginger frame or themes. Yes. Shape manipulation. And so, one is a teenager, and the other one's definitely more of an adult woman. Okay, now, moving on from that type thing, Burning Hands, that was 7th level type thing, Evocation, and that's the Delayed Blast Fireball D6, and that's 8th level spell, and that's Evocation, Polar Ray, subbing out for Cold, and then the Cold to Fire, which already has as the what is Chips Precious? That was the Polar Ray at 5th, Cold Energy Meta Magic substitution at 5th level at 10,000 experience. And 9th level type thing, that's Bigby's Crushing Hand onto Meteor Swarm, 4 exploding spears, each deal 66 fire damage type thing, and that means. So, over the mass thing, that's a 20th level wizard going from 1st to 9, and in that's Burning Hands to Fire, Scorching Ray, Fire, Fireball, Fire. 3 spells immediately for the wizard are fire related in the book without any change. So there are fire spells in the book, and still in the same book now, in the same player's handbook here, except for the energy meta magic substitution, is the 4th level spell here in that, which is on page 194, Fire Shield, then Ice Storm type thing. Ice Storm is in the player's handbook on page 194. But in a substitution, the Ice Storm is a Firestorm, and we're going to sub that out through the energy other type thing here from coal to fire. Now, same thing at 5th level, cone of coal, which we're going to make a cone of fire, again going from coal to fire with the 10,000 experience in a magic spell. Now, that's Delayed Blast Fireball, and that's just fire straight up without any change through energy substitution. It's just fire, so that's now the 4th official fire spell that you found in the player's handbook without any change to it. It's just fire. Chain Electricity is Chain Lightning, which Chain Lightning is Chain Electricity, which I had here. That's Chain Lightning to Chain Electricity. It's made out of electricity, which is going to chain fire, energy substitution. Once again, a different energy substitution from electricity to fire instead of from coal to fire, type thing that means. So now that's going to be Chain of Fire, as listed here, Chain of Fire. I didn't write the of down, type thing. And from the Chain of Fire, that is going to be electricity to fire instead of from coal to fire, type thing. So you have to change 3 spells out of your 9 through energy magic substitution, leaving 6 left over so far. Now, Polar Ray type thing, at 8th level, we're going to change that to a Fire Ray, and that is going from coal to fire. This is using the character feat at 15,000. This is one still using the energy magic. That's the one class job feat, at 5th level type thing at 10,000, and this one is at 15,000, 6th level character, and they're right after each other, and electricity to fire and coal to fire type thing that means. And that's coal to fire ray type thing. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4 spells type thing. That means here, that's 1, and that's 2 spells that you have to convert of Ice Storm and Cone of Coal through energy substitution, and that's 3 spells, and that is 4 spells that you have to convert out of 9 spell levels type thing. So 5 listed fire in the PHB, and Meteor Swarms in there, which is a base fire spell type thing. So 5 fire spells type thing for the Evoker immediately without even doing anything. Just staying in Wizard, and then when you do energy meta magic substitution, you can convert some more spells in the PHB over to fire, like chain electricity type thing, and then you can have 5 plus 4 spells of fire type thing. So it's 5 plus 4, which is 9. So 9 spell levels, 9 fire spells. That concludes the specialty of the Evoker in finding and converting and assuring one's career is going to have enough fire spells for an Evoker to cast during 20 levels of Wizard. Going from 1st to 9th level spell, Burning Hand, Scorching Ray, Fireball, Firestorm, Cone of Fire, Delayed Blast Fire, Chain of Fire, Fire Ray, and Meteor Swarm. All fire effects. 9 fire effects, 9 different ranges, saving throws, and damages. To this presentation, and please have a great one out there.